lost mine in the sand. Where will you stand?
Well, there's a Hanukkah menorah back there that I think I remember where you're sitting, because I was just there a few months ago.
Indeed,
Yeah,
indeed.
pretty much
You know,
sitting in the
sending
same place.
cards from Chapin, South Carolina.
Yeah. So you're with some of our favorite people, and you're speaking
Yep,
in Gates de Zion with Craig, Jan, Odell, and many other great people tonight, right?
that'll be tonight. Yeah.
So how's it going? How's your last weekend? You've
Well,
been
you
in
know,
South Carolina
it's
the whole time. It's nice and
yeah.
cool there, isn't
Uh,
it?
you know, let me put it this way. The first part of my speaking tour, I refer to as the Humidity tour. I was in Texas, I was in Mississippi, and now in South Carolina. So the good news is I'm indigenous to the Middle East. So, it's not as bad for me as it is for others, but it's still not fun. Not fun at
Hmm.
all in terms of, the weather is what it is. It's the summer.
Well, it's better than the last time you were there, which was snow. All right.
Yeah. I it, it I was asked why my speaking tours are in July and August and January and February.
Uh-huh.
This person said, "Don't you realize that's the worst extremes of weather in the US?" And I said, "Yeah, but I actually have to schedule my speaking around, well, at this point, projected guiding.
Yeah.
We still don't have tourism. Um, but hopefully that's in the midst of changing, particularly as the foreign airlines begin returning, which they actually have started. So the first thing I wanted to mention, which, I was going to do my little 90 to 120-second little updates. But then I figured, you know what? Let's wait for our Israel update.
Good.
Did
Yeah.
anyone
While
else?
you're doing that, I've got to work on the tour because I have people booking flights right now. So I'm listening, but you're controlling.
Okay, that's quite all right. Okay, am I the only person that thought it was a little weird that Netanyahu and Trump met
Yeah.
more than once? No, no, you know, no gathering of news people, no questions, no pronouncements, no statements,
Yeah.
nada, zero, zip. It's almost like Netanyahu snuck out the back door, got to the airport, caught his flight, which he's never late for, and back to Israel. So everyone's trying to figure out what it means.
Hmm.
The analysts in Israel trying to figure it out. American news people are trying to figure it out. And the bottom line is, right now, we're all kind of caught between a rock and a hard place because Netanyahu, who, by the way, just yesterday, totally absolved himself publicly for any negative element of October 7th, 2023.
Huh.
The security people had information that they kept from him. The ID, it's really it's anyone but me. It's astounding. But Netanyahu was promised that Hamas would be not only defeated but disarmed and exiled, and the hostages would be returned.
Hmm.
However many are still alive,
Yeah.
the number is believed to be under 20. Well, the question is, are we doing it or are we not doing it? Um, in a little more than 2 months of active uh, combat, if you will, we defeated Hezbollah, which pretty much no one in Israel thought was possible the way it happened. Hezbollah, of course, falling, well, being defeated temporarily caused the Assad regime in Syria to fall. The 12 days directly against Iran because we've been fighting against Iran for 20 years through their proxies. But Gaza continues, Gaza lingers. And every few days, we hear more horrific, tragic stories of losing soldiers to, ambushes and IEDs and RPGs, um, because the terrorists obviously are hiding within the rubble.
Hmm.
So the question is, what's really going to happen now? Meanwhile, of course, while that is all kind of hanging there, and you don't really know what Trump is planning.
Yeah, that's true.
I I am not one of those people who subscribe to the idea that he's a master at four-dimensional chess and he's always several steps ahead of everybody and just wait and see. I think there are times when he has no solution or no quick fix, and this is one of them. I was kind of astounded to see yesterday, all of a sudden, the U.S. is sending new armaments to Ukraine with an ultimatum to Russia simultaneously. With a time frame. I'm really scratching, the back of my head here, wondering what's going on. Um, the thing that's interesting is after a number of speaking dates, tonight will be the fifth one, fifth, fifth. Tonight will be the fifth. And after this, I've got another 14
Yeah.
plus an additional Zoom one that was just added in August. So it's interesting coming across people. And what I'm finding is people are either super engaged or they're like hanging out on the periphery, kind of waiting for other people to tell them what's happening or what might be happening or what's going on behind the scenes.
Hmm. That's an
I
interesting
find that
statement.
unsettling.
That's an interesting statement in the fact that because of, coming to pick you up tomorrow, I rearranging my own schedule, which means that we're recording on Tuesday. And I got up real early and did my own program this morning, Living Torah. And this is the week that we see between last week and this week, this guy, Pinchas, uh, split up into two Torah portions. And this is a guy that as others were on the peripheral watching this guy bring his Moab woman into the tent of meeting, Pinchas is the one that does something. So
Yeah, everyone
times
else
really
is
haven't
standing
changed
around.
a lot, Hanok, the
Yeah.
vast majority of people are watching and asking what's happening, and very few are saying, well, I can see what's happening. I'm going to do something about it.
Well, you kind of know where my heart lies.
Yeah, I know.
Well, as we say in
Don't
the
give him a
South,
spear.
bless my heart, for sure. Um, but everyone can do something. That's the thing I actually, and I don't find that depressing. I find that incredibly exciting. Every congregation can strengthen itself.
Hmm.
Every community could be more close-knit. Even the most basic of things. And I'm really hoping, people say, people who've known me for years say, we all know that you hate to fly. You hate to travel. You hate to lug, half of your belongings on this earth in several suitcases and other, oldies bags and everything else that I've got, like a homeless
Believe
person.
me, folks, I know what that's like. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's,
and it's not going to be better tomorrow, I have to tell you.
I know. I'm cleaning
But
out everything out of the FJ. So,
so people are saying, I've had this, well, why don't you just do Zoom? Honestly, from my perspective, Zoom is a last resort.
yeah.
It's a last resort. I go to meet people, I go to form relationships. I go to hopefully educate, enlighten, and encourage. Now, sometimes people think my encouragement is like, a thickly padded boxing glove that, hits them a couple of times on the side of the head. You say tomato, I say tomato. It's all a matter of perspective. Um, but one last thing about Netanyahu. Um, of course, one of the Haredi ultra-Orthodox parties have announced that they pulled out of the government. That leaves him with approximately 61 seats. He still has a majority. He's still prime minister. But what it means is there's going to be a lot going on in those backroom deals. Um, and among the reactions that I've gotten so far from people is when I mention that the Haredi, the ultra-Orthodox population, does not generally serve in the IDF. Like, no, but I heard that changed and that they were being and so I don't know what it is about our news that people like there'll be a gap of about a month that they won't read any news from Israel or longer. And then they'll seem surprised that things aren't what they read a month ago. So it's kind of funny in that sense.
And in some ways, it's kind of like watching a soap opera because the news really doesn't change. It's still kind of the same. And that's true of the American government. That's true no
Yeah,
matter what.
yeah,
Now, let me go to something that this thing about being prepared. Okay. Um, you can't talk to everybody about Israel all the time, at least not in the United States. You can, but if you're with friends, family, at some
yeah,
point in time, they're going to quit inviting you anywhere. So you've pretty much lost the conversation. You've lost the ability to speak into their lives.
absolutely
And
true.
so, and I find out with the guys that I'm around, I'll occasionally throw something out like, "Hey, no, I can't." Uh, some of them wanted me to play this morning. I said, "No, I've got to work on Israel tour and various things." And I put things out just to make
Yeah,
sure that it's in their back, the back of their mind somewhere. But what I find is that you may have a period of silence in someone's life, but then something happens and it may be something in the news. It may just be
yeah,
something that triggers in their own mind for some crazy reason. And they ask you a question. Well, if you haven't been continuing to prepare, if you've allowed yourself to
right.
disconnect for the last month, then you're
Yeah,
like, well, I'll have to go back and research that and find out. Well, what you're saying to them is, you're really not as committed as I thought you were. Who is the person that when something happens in your family, friends, your circle of influence, who is the person that they go if somebody says, "Wow, I wonder what's happening in Israel," or how long are they going to have to think through that before your name comes to their mind? They should immediately say, "This is the person I need to talk to." That's where we should be in this, and that's part of that being
yeah.
involved that you're talking about.
It is interesting. Like when people say, "Well, we see this, we see that. How do we know what's true?" And I said, "Do y'all ever think of contacting me?"
Yeah.
I mean,
So
it's almost silly at times.
yeah,
Um, but I've always offered people, let me be a resource for you. Let me help you. Because people said, uh, can you give me a suggestion or two of a good cause, a good charity in Israel that I could contribute to? So I said, I can give you huge lists. First, tell me what resonates most in your
yeah,
heart.
yeah,
For some people, it's the IDF widows and orphans. For others, it's the, first responders. Whatever it is.
yeah,
And that's all there. You
yeah,
you and I have been doing this for years. So
yeah. Let me go back to BB, because you kind of brought in something that I hadn't thought about. There, it was. conspicuous how silent everything was.
Shocking.
Now, I know that Trump wants a deal.
Very much so.
He wants a deal in Gaza. He wants a deal in Ukraine, Russia,
Yep.
because and I don't just I personally I'm going to give him a break here. I don't just think it's about his legacy, though that's probably quite a bit of it, but I tend to believe that this man actually cares about life and the constant death that is in both has been in both places. I think he cares on a personal level. I'm going to give him that one.
Okay.
But there is legacy. So it was very very conspicuous when BB was able to get in and out, and there's nothing said. Now, when you said that BB has said, in other, what he's basically saying is, the buck stopped before it got to me. I didn't even know there would be a buck out there. I thought it was just a bunch of does. I never saw a buck. He is totally taking all blame off of himself, which is, I think
No responsibility at all.
you would
No
agree
responsibility at all.
that's ludicrous.
Yeah.
As a leader, you can't even if it wasn't your fault, it's your fault. Okay? So for him to
Which
be
is,
but for him to be able to go back to Israel and make that statement means that something was done of a deal in the White House that we don't know about. And this may be what you're, kind of discussing there of what may happen that BB gets to be in a place of, well, again, I don't know what's going on.
it's, there's clearly something going on in the back rooms.
Yeah.
And personally, I tie it into the fact that President Trump directly criticized our court system, our judicial system, and said that they needed to back off the charges against Netanyahu. Um, that was very unsettling,
Yeah.
um, in that it's a real interference in another country's internal affairs, ally or not. It's a very heavy hand. So we'll see what happens. Meanwhile, everyone was rushing to say, look, Syria is going to be Israel's new best friend. And forget the fact that until last December, the guy running Syria had a $12 million bounty on his head from the United States government, not Israel, United States government, because of having been a leader in ISIS and Al Qaeda. Well, guess what, boys and girls? There is no strong central authority, and you've got the Syrian army and Bedouin. People didn't realize there were Bedouin in Syria attacking the Druze. Israel is committed to defending the Druze, you know, as someone who knows someone who's doing their reserve duty in Syria right now. It's very disconcerting.
Yeah.
But it proves that everything in Syria is very tenuous. Same thing in Lebanon.
Yeah.
The Lebanese government is talking about disarming Hezbollah, but if for those who are reading the Israeli news reports know that almost daily we're bombing someone in Lebanon because when I say someone, it's Hezbollah, because they're trying to reestablish themselves already. And then, of course, you've got Egypt, which is saying, well, we don't want the Gazans close to, our border, and we may tear up the peace deal with Israel. I mean, it's a world gone insane.
It
Meanwhile,
is.
in Lexington, Kentucky, another example of globalize the Intifada. And what I find fabulous, I mean, it's a tragedy, of course, but what I find fabulous is the news coverage. The pictures of the guy have him wearing a keffiyeh and a kufi, the Muslim head covering. That's the classic globalize the intifada. But it was like the guy, the jihadi Muslim who threw those Molotov cocktails, killing one and severely injuring several in Boulder. It's like, we don't know if this is a hate crime.
Yeah.
It I mean, okay, so what do you know? If you can't recognize that as a hate crime, what do you know?
Hmm.
Um, the world's changing, kids.
It
The
is.
world's
It
changing.
is. But I think what is probably on everybody's mind, and you may be able to give us the actual, since you have some, such great ties to intelligence in Israel. Was Epstein, was he actually Mossad or not?
Absolutely not.
That's a joke, by the way.
No, I know. I know. I know.
The stupidity that comes out of things, is always the Jews' fault.
I mean, where Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens have gravitated towards, I mean, I really expect before Pesach, one or both of them will talk about, well, we know in Europe, the Jews drain the blood of Christian children to bake the matzah.
Yeah,
That's, by the way, which gives it such, a
that's the
crispy
blood
texture.
libel. Speaking of blood, I saw something about the red heifer the other day. Do you have any update?
Sure.
Are you following that? I'm sure
Yeah.
you are. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. As someone who's involved intimately in the
Yeah.
real effort to restore the Beit HaMikdash, the temple, I find these, and everyone is fascinated. So like, what's with the red heifers? Okay, so some guys did a practice burning of a
Yeah.
heifer. Okay, so everyone, has got their, it's the end of the world as we, and they're all, and I'm sure as Pesach approaches, and it's kind of funny in the middle of the summer to talk about Pesach already,
Yeah.
Passover. But to me, the para aduma, the red heifer, is one giant big yawn.
Hmm.
I mean, 2 weeks ago, when I was in Israel, we had just begun being allowed to sing as we walked the entire Temple Mount. I mean, this is facts on the ground, but people are still, looking up in the sky. Now, whether the clouds will burst, when, usher in the messianic redemption, or merely if it's Santa Claus and his sleigh led by Rudolph, everyone's looking up. This is not the time to be looking up.
And I mean, I applaud what's happening. I think is everybody that's ever been a part of anything of restoration has looked like a kook, and has been said that they are a kook. But in the end, it's you read the prophets and it's the kooks that were right. And so I don't know. Is this a step? Yeah, I think it's a step. But as you were saying, let's make sure that in watching what's going on, it would be my counsel, be involved in what you can see happening.
Yeah,
The things that we don't have any really control over, maybe that should be our peripheral vision.
yeah, it's a
But
great
yet,
point.
what's happening, and I mean, when I saw, you up on the Temple Mountain, I'm hearing singing in the background. I cannot describe for you what went on in
This is,
my own
and
being.
and that particularly the last time tefillot prayers weren't being said; they were being
Yeah,
shouted. I mean, it was.
yeah, that was remarkable. I to finish this up, Hanok, I can tell
Yeah,
you, yeah, I've been back and forth here because I have people
quite all
booking
right.
flights and asking questions, and that's a great thing because
Amazing.
the good news is our Connect to Israel tour is on, and
Baruch
Bezrat
Hashem.
Hashem, we will make it to that point. God, Yah willing, and with His help. I was given some incredible favor by the hotels that we're staying in. They were able to work with us
Yeah.
because we're kind of an extinct group right now. A group coming to Israel. So normally they have minimums and everything, but they have waived a lot of that, and so
Yes.
we're in the planning stage. I booked my flight last night, and others are booking their flights. And the better news from people is if you've been sitting back going, okay, hello, Mike, I got you, but I want to wait until it looks just a little bit better. Well, as soon as I hit this stop record button, I have to call some people that just signed up for the tour. So we've got a few slots that I can still fill,
Yeah.
but
Just a few.
I'm not taking a zoo. We're not doing a circus animals over there.
No.
We have a limit of number of people that will go, and I can tell you, the as I said in an email you saw to our group, when I start talking to people about over there that are that we're going to be meeting with, the excitement is
Sure.
building that we will just have a group that they can hug.
It's literally a dream come true.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is. So again, Bezrat Hashem, may all go well from here. And I'm planning on picking you up tomorrow. We're meeting at the same restaurant.
Yeah, I'll check with Craig.
Okay.
I believe so.
Okay.
The now comes the North Carolina swing, um, Virginia, and then all my Colorado engagements and all my Iowa engagements, of which there are six, which is
Yeah,
and the point is, this is fascinating. These are, Messianic Hebrew roots groups throughout the state, and they were coordinating with each other to host me and who's going to drive me and who's going to take me from here to there. Got to go back to that point. They actually speak to each other.
that's great.
They actually have enough respect for each other. And I find that amazing.
Yeah,
It's
that's great.
remarkable,
That's great.
very unusual.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you. And Hanok will be with us here in Franklin, North Carolina on this Shabbat. If anybody needs information on that, they can send me an email. He will also be at Moss Baptist Church, of all places, in Hayesville, North Carolina. If you're in Hayesville Sunday night, you need something to do because there's nothing else to do in Hayesville. So you might want to come over and see Hanok.
Well,
And
this is the thing
I'm
that's
really looking forward
interesting.
to the rest of the night. I get to drive you to Atlanta and then drive home.
Yeah. Um, so Shabbat, I'm at Life Assembly in Franklin. Sunday, I'm at Moss Memorial Baptist. Monday, I'm at House of David in Gloucester. Not the usual Tuesday. They had me on Monday this time. So it's like one, two, three.
There you go. All right. See you tomorrow.
Take care, man. Bye bye.